કરવું પડે કે
ના ના ઓન
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna ki.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we are very fortunate today that amongst us we have this guy is Devkinandan Prabhuji. Many of you may have read about Prabhuji. Prabhuji has been a devotee for a long time, almost over 3 decades. And he is renowned for his nice, melodious, soul-stirring kirtans and very, very insightful and realized Srimad Bhagavatam classes. Prabhuji also is a global GBC member. By profession, he is a barrister and attorney. And also he's a professor. He teaches lawyers, trains lawyers, and he's a GBC counsel for international
problems.
But he's a problem solver nonetheless.
I don't know about that, bro.
And we have, known each other for almost 3 decades as well.
I think so, yeah.
Yes. And all mercy to our Guru Maharaj who brought us together. And it is by our Guru Maharaj's mercy that, we have been attached to each other on the basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Although the resume is quite long, but the most important aspect is Srimad Bhagavatam, because that is the uniting force amongst all the devotees. There is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prithu Maharaj says, Sautama shloka mahatmukhachuto bhavat padambuja sudhakanalinaha. That when pure devotees of the Lord they speak, they unsettle the saffron messy particles which are strewn on the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Krishna. And when through the articulation of the devotee's sound, when it enters the ears of the hearers, then immediately smriti punaha vismriti tattva varatmani, that forgotten relationship about Krishna, which we have forgotten from time immemorial, is once again established. And therefore, Prithu Maharaj says, what else we should desire than to hear from the mouth of pure devotees? So, Prabhuji has spread Srila Prabhupada's mission and he's been preaching far and wide, not only in Singapore where he's from originally, but throughout the world, and he's made many devotees, especially many youths who have found the philosophical of Krishna conscious very practical, very easily applicable in their lives. So we thought it would be quite benefiting. We have 7 Bhakti Vriksha groups associated with Hare Krishna Temple, Burbank, and it's nice that you all have come together. So if you have any questions, the topic of tonight is very relevant, enduring relationships. As you know, Krishna consciousness is all about relationships, because our original relationship with Krishna is there, and then our relationship with each other will determine actually how far we progress. Alone we can never make it, but with association of each other we can make it, and it requires great endurance. Prabhuji, let's chant Hare Krishna 3 times and welcome Prabhuji and open this forum.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Can I have one more request before Prabhu begins? I can see a lot of gaps. There's more devotees coming still. If everyone can move right close, please move forward. Over here as well, if you can manage to move more forward. There's a lot of gaps over there as well. Please, Mataji, move forward. There Mataji is standing behind. That's actually. Everyone, please be comfortable, sit down. I put the air conditioning on, so don't worry. We have.
You have, right?
And the fan is also on.
Okay.
Jai. His Grace Dekinandan Prabhu ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Thank you, Viraj Prabhu. And thank you all for coming together. It's so nice to see so many devotees coming together. And Prabhu had explained to me that these are the culmination of all the different Bhakti Vriksha groups, right, Prabhu? The word Bhakti Vriksha is very important. As you know, Bhakti Vriksha, the root of the word Bhakti Vriksha is that it is a branch of a tree. And the reason why it's a branch of a tree is because the flavor of the tree is always found in the branch. Which is why if you find a fruit which is hanging in a tree, on a tree branch, you'll find that the fruit that's hanging from the tree branch is actually deriving all its nutrition from the main tree. And the whole point of Bhakti Vriksha is that we may have so many Bhakti Vrikshas, but they're all branches. And all branches derive their strength from the main tree. So therefore, the idea of Bhakti Vriksha is actually unity in diversity. It's a very important principle for us as devotees. And that's the whole point of what we are trying to speak today, enduring relationships. For relationships to endure, there must be the principle of unity in diversity. Every branch in a tree does not look like the other branch. You will never find all the branches uniform. Some branches are longer, some are shorter, but the fruit is always the same. That's very important. The branches may look and be shaped differently, but the fruit will always taste the same. In one conversation, Srila Prabhupada had a conversation with a devotee known as Tushta Krishna Prabhu. He was Srila Prabhupada's disciple. He had some misunderstandings with his godbrothers. So he came to Srila Prabhupada a bit disillusioned. And he said, Prabhupada, I would like to start something new. I want to go somewhere else and do something. The reason for that was because he found that he couldn't get along with the devotees. And so Prabhupada said, it's fine. If you want to go somewhere and start something, that's all right. In fact, you can even use the name of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Go ahead. Then Tushta Krishna became a little bit, he backed off a bit because he didn't expect Prabhupada to just say, go, it's okay. You know, sometimes when we go to someone and say, I'm going to leave you, actually the idea is we hope they will say, no, please don't go. Please stay. Isn't it? That's always a problem. When I handle a lot of divorce cases, so I see what husbands and wives do. And very often they will say, I'm going to leave you, you're going to leave me. And if somebody really does it, then they panic sometimes. Because sometimes we think that, by doing this, it will escalate the situation. People will say, no, please don't go. What do you want me to do? So Srila Prabhupada said, go. It's okay. You can carry on. So Tushta Krishna said, no, I don't mean it that way. And then Prabhupada ends by saying, you can actually start how many different centers you want. But just like the branches, there are so many branches on a tree, make sure that the fruit is always tasting the same. That is a very important point. So that is what Srila Prabhupada wanted in our society, to have unity, but plenty of diversity. And I can see here that, there's so much diversity, so much diversity. Every one of us is made differently. And that is why we are individuals. If we are all the same, then there wouldn't be diversity. I think we'll get bored with each other. Forget about fighting with each other. We'll just get bored with each other. So the beauty of the creation that Krishna has given us is that there'll always be diversity. So one of the most important things for relationships between devotees, amongst devotees, if we want our relationships to endure, the most important thing is we have to balance acceptance with expectation. This is a very important concept. In Bhagavatam, you will find that every time some personality was expecting something, almost invariably there will be some disappointment. When you expect something from someone, even loved ones, you will find that you tend to be disappointed. It may not even be that person's fault. Frankly speaking, our expectations may be so high that nobody can meet them. And that is always a challenge. So if we start our relationship as devotees from the platform of expectation, very often we'll end up being disappointed. We will. But if we start from the Bhagavatam platform of acceptance, then our relationships will endure. Because we learn to accept that everyone has a different mentality. It's a very important point. In the 7th canto, 13th chapter, 42nd verse, there's a very beautiful shloka. The context of the shloka is important, I wanted to tell you. The context is, you all know Prahlad Maharaj, isn't it? So Prahlad Maharaj, the pastime has finished. Nrsimhadev has come, Prahlad Maharaj has been installed as the king now, and Hiranyakashipu has been vanquished. Now, Prahlad Maharaj, when he was traveling in the kingdom, he came across a very powerful personality known as an Avadut. He was so advanced. But Prahlad Maharaj noticed something about him over a few days. He found that this personality could sleep on a bed which was like a palace, very, very opulent. One day someone would give him a very opulent place to stay, and he would stay. Another day, he would get no place to stay. So what would happen is that he would just be lying down on the street. A third day, he would have so much prasadam like all of you have had. And then after that, the next day, he would be starving and he would have nothing. But amidst all that up and down, Prahlad Maharaj noted one thing. This personality was always steady. He was always steady. In Bhagavatam, steady means stane stitaha. Stane stitaha means to be situated in a very fixed manner. So no matter what the situation was, Prahlad Maharaj noted he's very steady. It is sometimes very difficult to be steady in contrasting situations. And sometimes it's very difficult to tolerate contrasting situations. Very difficult. Sometimes we find that in difficulty we can remember Krishna very well. Isn't it true? Very often it happens to us. Most of the time when everything is going fine, you find the opposite is true. It's very difficult actually to remember Krishna in good times. In good times, very quickly we do our work, a quick look at Krishna, thank you very much, Haribol, and we go. But suddenly we are going to lose our job or something has happened, some disease has come. Suddenly we are chanting and chanting and chanting. We are reading Bhagavatam, we are observing all the Ekadashis, and we are remembering Krishna. The point here is this, that it is very difficult to endure happiness. In fact, to endure happiness and remember Krishna is more difficult to endure sadness and remember Krishna. It's a very unique point that we must remember. In difficult times, our endurance for difficulty is actually mitigated by the presence of Krishna. But in happy times, our endurance of happiness is not even felt because we forget Krishna. You see the point? So therefore, acceptance and expectation is a very important principle in Bhagavatam. Do you remember the Devatas and the Asuras? They were going to churn the milk ocean, right? And you remember both sides were ready to churn, and the milk ocean was there, and Vasuki was the center, and then there was Mount Meru that was going to be the churning point. Now halfway through, as they churned, what happened? The mountain fell. Now when the mountain fell, the Devatas were in a also difficult situation and the demons were also in a difficult situation. The only difference is the Devatas immediately turned to Krishna and the demons turned to no one because they did not believe in Krishna. Now the important thing here Bhagavatam shows us is the Devatas, even though they expected that the mountain should be alive and floating so that we can churn it, when that expectation was not met, they did not become moros and not do anything. Yes, they were moros because it sunk. But immediately they accepted their situation and they transformed that situation into remembering Krishna. That is why the Devatas in that episode never fought with each other. Because unitedly they accepted their situation and instead of moaning and groaning and complaining about it, they decided, let us see it as the hand of Krishna. And they started praying to Krishna. But the demons began fighting with each other. Even when Krishna came as Mohini Murti, and when Dhanvantri had brought the Amrit, the demons took the Amrit away from the Devatas. But Krishna had told the Devatas before that, the Amrit will come. But when it comes, don't be in a hurry to pick it up. Even if your demon brothers pick it up, don't pick it up. Do you know what a difficult instruction it is? If you think about it, both of you are, gunning for something, and then it appears, and then you are told by Krishna, just be calm, because the other side will grab it. It's very difficult, very, very difficult. And when the Devatas saw the Amrit coming and the demons jumped on it, the Devatas decided at that point of time, they were really thinking maybe we should also do it. But amongst the Devatas, each one of them encouraged the other to remember. Remember what Krishna said? Krishna said, accept it, accept it. So despite the difficulty, they endured that challenge. And how did they endure it? On the common denomination of having faith in Krishna's words. This is a very important point. Until and unless we are bound by our faith in Krishna's instructions, our relationships will not endure. Maybe for a while they will be there, but as soon as we don't put Krishna in the center, right, then what will happen is the endurance, the ability to actually be with each other will vanish. That's why the demons began fighting with each other. And even though they had the Amrit, now their fight was internal. I want it, I want it, I want it. But the Devatas had nothing, and yet they were united. Why? Because they were united in their faith for Krishna. So they knew that the most precious possession they had at that point of time in the churning of the milk ocean was not the nectar. What was their most important possession? Their most important possession was following the instructions of Krishna. That is nectar. So the moment they put that in the center, all of them became peaceful. And they just waited very easily. Then the Lord came in the form of Mohini Murti. The Lord first came, and first he expressed how happy I am that you all are united and you have heard me. Then he said, now watch. I am going to take advantage of the fact that the demons are disunited. And he transformed himself into the most beautiful female form in the whole three worlds. And the Lord came as Mohini Murti. And the moment she came as Mohini Murti, all the demons became united. They became very united because they all stopped their fighting. They thought, my God, what is this beauty before us? And every one of the demon, right, propositioned Mohini Murti. They each came up to her and said, who are you? What is your name, fair maiden? How is it that you're so beautiful? And everybody asked, are you married? That's the first question they asked, right? But you'll notice one thing, demons even at that time had the decency to ask a lady if she was married or not. In Kali Yuga, that decency is gone. So you can see even the demons were quite civilized actually. So they asked her that question. And when they asked her that question, Mohini Murti then replied. And when she replied, saying that I'm restless, I'm looking for someone to protect me, suddenly they all felt very protective. And then Mohini Murti said, now you all go and take your bath. Because they were all very, 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 they were extremely, in a very unhygienic condition. As they were churning, right, don't forget, Vasuki was throwing out its poisonous fumes. So most of them were blackened with the poison fumes of Vasuki. So Mohini Murti said, go and take your bath. After that, do all your prayers. Then you sit down and I will give you all the nectar. And the demons thought, fine, she's going to do that. And they went. And the Devatas continued their endurance of the situation. And because they continued their endurance of the situation, you know the end of the pastime. At the end of the pastime, none of the demons except for Rahu, and that also is Krishna's mercy that Rahu should get it. But all the Devatas got the nectar and the demons got nothing. And by the time they came to find out, it was too late. And the Devatas conquered the demons. So you can see from this very simple episode that the most important starting point for our relationships, all of us sitting here, right, to be one big family, is to accept the fact that each one of us is different. Which is why I'm coming back to the Avadut point that I brought up. So Prahlad Maharaj went up to the Avadut and he asked him, my dear sir, how is it that today you can sleep well, tomorrow you don't, but you are not agitated? Tomorrow there is a calamity and the next day there is something that is celebratory in nature, but you're all right. So how do you live this way? What is your thinking? What is your mentality? And at that point, the Avadut says something very nice. 7:13:42. So when you have time, you read it. Naham ninde nachastaumi. Very nice point. Swabhava vishamam. Swabhava vishamam jnanam. So he says this point, which is really important for endurance in relationship. He says different people are of different mentalities. That is the most important point from Bhagavatam. He says different people are of different mentalities. Why is that important? The moment you accept that someone cannot think and feel the way you do, you have started enduring a relationship. This is very important. Not everyone will think the way we do. Even people whom we think are very close to us, they also think differently. I see so many parents here. You must have children. The children came from the same womb, came from the same set of parents, but only you know how the natures of the children can be so different, like day and night. It can happen. It can happen. Why? Because the principle of this material world is that different people have different mentalities. Now the Avadut then says the second point, which is very important. So what if the people have different mentalities? How does that affect us? What should we do as devotees? He says then, it is not my business either to praise them or to blaspheme them. That is the point here. When we accept that everyone has a different mentality, we don't praise them to high heavens, neither do we blaspheme them. we accept them for who they are. That is very important. Sometimes, we praise someone so much, and sometimes what happens is in the beginning in the relationship, two people are praising each other like anything. But I tell you from my experience, at the end of the day, those praising relationships will end up very badly. Because the moment your expectations are rising, oh Prabhu, you sing very nice, you did this very nice. One day he does something that you don't expect. It's the end of the story, isn't it? So many times. So therefore, Avadut tells us that different people have different mentalities. You should not praise them. There is no need to praise them. There is no need to blaspheme them also. This is very important. If we really want to serve each other and endure our relationships, we must learn not to criticize each other. This is so important, very important. My Guru Maharaj used to say, every time you point your finger at someone, right, you're pointing your finger at the person, but 3 fingers are pointing towards yourself. 3 fingers are pointing towards yourself. You want to find fault with everyone, but have you looked at yourself? This is something very important. So that's why there is neither too much praise, neither is there blasphemy. Instead, what does he say? He says, my only business is that I desire that these personalities become aligned with Krishna. That's all I want. And that is how I live. If each one of us can imbibe this Avadut's prayer, 7:13:42, into our lives, then every time you interact with each other, you will find that instead of expecting, learn to accept one another. We're all made differently. Don't you know that devotees come in all shapes and sizes, literally, literally. We are literally all shapes and sizes. We are also characteristically of all shapes and sizes. We are. And that is the beauty of our movement, that we attract so many different people to come to Krishna. So therefore, there is one very interesting mantra you can use. If you want to know how to endure, how to make your relationships endure, then the formula is very simple. Endure to endure. Because there is 2 meanings to the word endure. One meaning to the word endure is that how long it lasts, right? Something is enduring. Something is endurable. Therefore, it is long lasting. But to make it endurable or to make it enduring, we have to learn to endure each other. And that's another meaning to the word endure. If you endure each other, it means we learn to tolerate each other. That's very important. In the material world, the word tolerating each other has a negative connotation. If you say, Prabhu, I'm just tolerating you, what it means is I can't stand you. But what to do, right? Trinadapi Sunichena, I learned all the fact that I have to be as humble as I can, I have to tolerate, so I'm just tolerating you. In the material world, when you use the word tolerating, what you're saying is actually, I don't have any respect for you, I find a lot of faults in you, but I'll just endure, I'll just tolerate. But in the spiritual world, the word tolerance is very different. The word tolerance means to accept someone for who they are. Please remember that. In Shastras, the word tolerance is not a negative word. It means you accept the person for who they are. Don't expect something from them. In expectation, there is always turbulence. In acceptance, there's always peace and there's always patience. Please remember that. So the Devatas accepted what Krishna gave and they became peaceful and patient. The demons could not accept what Krishna gave and therefore they became angry and agitated. 2 P's and 2 A's. Patience and perseverance. And on the other side, anger and agitation. You see? So the next time you have a relationship with any of the devotees, Prabhus, Matajis, the next time you have an issue, you have a difference of opinion, we should not expect that someone should always agree with us. Why? Why should they always agree with us? They are also different people. They can have a difference of opinion. But does it mean we have to fight over it? No. Srila Prabhupada writes very nicely that this society is created for independent and thoughtful persons. What a nice point. Srila Prabhupada said that we should all have the ability to think independently, but we must also be thoughtful to each other, thoughtful of each other. That's the part where we learn to endure each other. You see the point? So in Bhagavatam, you have this whole group of boys, young men. They were known as the Prachetas. And the Prachetas were all sons of a great king known as Prachina Barhisit. And so what they did was, one day they all decided that they will all worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so they all came together, and after coming together, they proceeded towards a lake. They were going to go into the lake, and they were going to be there, and they were going to concentrate on Krishna. As they were going there, they came across the greatest personality, that is Lord Shiva. And when they met Lord Shiva, collectively they all came, and they sat with Lord Shiva, and they heard him speak about Bhagavatam. So Lord Shiva gave them beautiful prayers and instructions, which they took collectively. And after taking it collectively, they all went into the waters, and for 1,000 years of austerity, they continued. So after 1,000 years of austerity, they then came out. And when they came out, right, they came out because of the austerities had attracted the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna appeared before them. And when Krishna appeared before them, he said something very important to them that helps us understand how to endure each other and how to have enduring relationships. The verse is 4:38. 4th canto, 30th chapter, 8th verse. Now there, Krishna says something very nice. He says, "My dear sons of the king, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships amongst you." This is the first point we must remember. Krishna becomes very pleased when we are friendly with each other. Maitreya, that's known in Bhagavatam as Maitreya. In other words, a devotee never keeps anything at heart. If supposing a devotee is ignored, or for some reason a devotee has been, unfairly judged, the devotee doesn't keep it in the heart. If you keep too much of this in the heart, Bhagavatam says your heart becomes so heavy and there's no space for Krishna to be there. Eventually Krishna will decide, this devotee has so many issues in his heart, I'm going to leave the heart. And Krishna doesn't reside in the heart of those who find fault. So the Krishna was very happy because he said, I'm so happy with all of you because you have friendly relationships with each other. So we must remember, we must learn to accept each other, accept that we have different mentalities, and we must learn to be friendly with each other. That is very important. And then he goes on to say something very nice. All of you are engaged in only one occupation, devotional service. That is the key. That is the reason why all the devotees were friendly with each other. Because at the center of their relationship was Krishna. If you don't have Krishna in the center of your relationship, the relationship becomes what we call in Bhagavatam, in the words of Kunti Mata, it becomes social intercourse. Kunti Mata says in her prayers of the 1st canto, 8th chapter, that actually in Kali Yuga, due to social intercourse, the living beings are always having trouble with each other. Why is there social intercourse? Because it's very easy for such a devotional program to very quickly become a social program. It can. If we are not careful, we'll keep coming every Saturday, every Sunday to the center, to the temple. Why? Because it's a social thing. You know why? If I didn't come here, I'd probably go somewhere else to my friend's house. Better I come here Krishna is here, I get a good stamp of approval from Krishna, but basically I'm coming here to socialize. And we feel very happy because, we are not in the pubs, we are not having bad habits, but we are in front of Krishna. But the purpose is to socialize. When that happens, then two things will happen. Either Krishna will continue to allow you to continue the way you are, or eventually you will find fault with somebody and you will leave. In Singapore, I always say we had this boy who came for our congregation program. And he came, after a while, I was just curious. I asked him, you're new, but you're coming regularly. Why are you coming? What's the drive for you? He was a young man, early 20s. He said, I came here because I want to find someone to get married to. At least he was honest, right? At least he was honest. So I said, Prabhu, but that's unusual. He said, yeah, because he said, I've been going to pubs and bars and everything, but why would I want to get married to a girl I meet in a bar? I want to get married to one of these girls who are here because they must be very nice. Their culture must be very good. So this is the best place for me to come. So he said that. All right. Then that night when I went home, I was speaking to my wife and said, this boy is very straightforward. And she said, this is very interesting because we saw a new girl come today. And I asked her the question, why are you here? And she said, I just came out of a bad relationship, and I thought, where is a better place to find a sadhu boy than in the temple? And as the Lord would plan it, these two met, they got to know each other, they clicked very well, and then they got married. And after they got married, we never saw them again. We never saw them again, you see. So Krishna took care of them. You want to get married? If you're coming if you're coming to the temple for anything other than Krishna, he's very kind. He will give it to you. But what will elude you is bhakti. That endurance will not be there. So there was a relationship, but because of social intercourse, it didn't last, you see. So the very important point is Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. We all have Krishna in our heart. And our love for Krishna is dormant. But you're also fortunate by giving each other sadhu sangha, and by taking sadhu sangha and giving sadhu sangha and serving each other, that love of God is now developing. It's growing now. That's why you are here. So we must be very clear about one thing. Don't come for programs because you have an agenda. Because if you do, Krishna knows about it. He's Paramatma. The purity of a congregation will determine the length and endurance of all its relationships. That is the key. Purity is the force. If we know that we are coming here because our only goal is to glorify Krishna and serve the devotees, then you just watch. By the power of Bhagavatam, by the power of Shastras, your relationship with Krishna will endure. Your relationship with the devotees will also endure. It will endure. That's why Krishna says in the second Chatushloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, Rite ritam yad pratyeta, na pratyeta chatmani, tadvidvan atmano mayam yatha baso yatha tamaha. He tells Brahma a very important point. He says, Brahma, just know one thing. If there is anything in this material world which has value, and many things are valuable to us, the harmonium is valuable, the phones are very valuable, everything costs. So Krishna is saying, anything in this world which is valuable, it appears to be valuable. But if it has no connection to me, it has no value. There is a difference between valuable and having value, isn't it? Something can be valuable in terms of material consideration, but Krishna says it will have no value in your spiritual life. Instead of helping you elevate, Krishna says, Yatha baso, yatha tamaha. It will actually degrade you in your consciousness. The same thing can happen to our relationships. If we start relating with each other on a material level, we start expecting things, we go out, we do everything else. Even in the temple also, we talk about each other, we talk about others, and that can happen anytime and it can happen any day. What happens is, in all of that, Krishna is forgotten. Isn't it true? And when Krishna is forgotten, the color of that congregation changes. Then it's a social congregation. That's all it is. We want to come, we have a good time, instead of going for cinemas. And the good thing about congregation programs is, you know what, most of the time they're free. You don't pay even for anything. I've had people in Singapore coming to say, this is the best way to spend a Saturday. I say, why? Because it's free. They have the cheek to tell me that. They won't pay a single cent. They won't give anything, but they say this is where we'll socialize. And so nice, we see the Lord, but we'll socialize. That's not going to be the way to approach Krishna. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yator bhakti radok saje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Krishna says, Shukadeva Goswami says in 126, 127 of Bhagavatam, very important verse. He says the primary duty of all humanity. We have so many dharmas. You all have so many dharmas. Your mothers, fathers, your sons, your daughters, your husbands, your wives. You have different occupations. They're all dharmas. Savai pumsam. So many. But there is one dharma that connects and binds us. That is the source of our endurance. That dharma is paro dharma. Yathor bhakti radoksaje. Are we rendering devotional service to Krishna? That is the key. And how to render that devotional service will keep a congregation alive. Ahaituki apratihata. In other words, there is no material motivation. there is only a spiritual motivation to glorify Krishna. That's all. The gopis would come together in Vrindavan, and when they came together in the evenings, what did they do? They gossiped like anything. They would just speak and speak and speak. What's the definition of gossip? Definition of gossip is I and you talk about third person. That's gossip. If I and you come together, if Mukund Prabhu and I come together and say, Prabhu, how is Raghunandan Prabhu? By the way, Raghunandan Prabhu is from Singapore, right? He just came with me. And if I say, and he's not with me, and I say, Prabhu, how is Raghunandan Prabhu? And Mukund Prabhu says, he's fine, he's very nice. I say, I don't think so. What happens? We've just started our gossip. So Bhagavatam says the gopis were gossiping all the time. But their gossip was transcendental gossip, because they were always speaking about Krishna. He's a third person, right? But when they came together, they would only speak about him. What did Krishna do today? Krishna stole this, Krishna did that. But because they were talking about Krishna, they were completely united. Grahe grahe gopavadhu kadambe sarve militva samavapya yogam punyani namani patanti nityam govinda damo daramadaveti vikretu kama kila gopakanya murari pada pitacheta vrittihi dhadyadikam mohavacha vocha govinda damo daramadaveti. These are beautiful prayers from Bilva Mangal Thakur. And in the first one, Grahe Grahe Gopavadhu Kadambe, Bilva Mangal Thakur says the gopis, in the evening, they all came out of their houses. And they would sit together like all of you have come. You all came out of your houses, right? And you all came together here. And instead of talking about each other and criticizing each other and finding fault with each other, they all talked about Krishna. And isn't that what we are trying to do? We're just trying to talk about Krishna. Unfortunately, it's a one-way course at the moment, but I'm going to stop soon, don't worry. Now, I'm just talking, but I want to hear you also. But that's the point. We're trying to hear Krishna. We're trying to talk about Krishna. And because of that, they were very peaceful, always peaceful. And that is why we must learn from these devotees in Bhagavatam. The Prachetas came together, and Krishna says, I'm so happy with you because you are united in your devotional service. And I want to end by remembering the purport of 438. Because Prabhupada writes in the purport, the unity of individual souls attempting to satisfy the Lord or rendering service to Him is real unity. If we want to endure each other, we must learn to respect each other's diversity, but at the same time, our common feature is always that we are all here for Krishna. Never mind we have differences. Prabhupada writes, this unity between souls is so strong in this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada's talking about us, by the way, okay? He says, even in the society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions. Prabhupada is a spiritual genius. The word appear is very important, right? I think we have our lawyer Prabhu here also. Yes. Lawyers use the word appear very often because it's not definitive. Externally, it may appear that two devotees are not getting along. It's an appearance. But actually what Prabhupada is saying is that, and he says this very nicely, he says that actually there cannot be two differing opinions. Why? Because devotees always want to serve Krishna collectively. So even if our opinions are different, don't fight. We are both trying to serve Krishna. We're just trying to serve Krishna in two different ways. We must have the maturity to accept it. Do you remember Jai and Vijay? That famous episode in Bhagavatam? Jai and Vijay had a big clash with the other group of devotees, the Sanat Kumaras. Now, why did the Sanat Kumaras come to Vaikuntha Loka? Because they wanted to take darshan of the Lord. What was Jai and Vijay doing? They were just making sure that they can serve the Lord so Lord won't be disturbed. Actually, both parties wanted to put the Lord in the center. But because they were coming from different angles, it appeared as if they were disunited. So when they came like young boys, Jai Vijay stopped them. But what is the fault of Jai Vijay? Anyway, they have to stop them. They are gatekeepers. What kind of a gatekeeper are you if everybody comes through? You're 6:30, isn't it? So they did their job. Now, the Sanat Kumaras were like little children. And you know how little children are, right? I mean, that door opens, I'm sure we're going to hear them full steam. Because that's how they are. By nature, they will just go where they want, they will do what they want. It's their nature. So you see, in that one episode, if we don't accept that each other's natures are different, we will clash. If we expect that our natures must be the same, everybody must serve Krishna with my standard, then everybody will die. Everybody must chant at 3 a.m. in the morning. Half of you may not come, half of you may come. So that's not the way we grow as a society. But in the end, Krishna came to resolve the situation as the supreme mediator. He came between Jai Vijay and Sanat Kumaras. And what did he do? He diffused the situation by telling Jai Vijay that I'm responsible. No, he told Sanat Kumaras, I'm responsible for my servants. And if they have made mistake, the mistake is mine. This is another way that we must learn to endure each other. We learn to forget and we learn to forgive. This is very important. If we keep something in the heart, today we came for the program. Prabhu said Hare Krishna to everyone, but he didn't say Hare Krishna to me. Whole night I cannot sleep. I was just next to the other devotee. He talked to him like they were good friends, did not even see me. I feel very slighted. It happens. It happens. Or maybe some of you like each other, some of you have cliques within your groups, and then suddenly someone came and they spoke to somebody and forget to speak to someone. These things happen all the time. So when we start looking at these things, then Prabhupada says in the purport, we appear disunited due to having differences and leaning towards material things. That's the reason why there's disunity. Because in our heart, the material dirt is still there. What is the material dirt? That we have come to Krishna with a motive. There is some motive. Krishna, give me a wife. Krishna, give me a husband. Krishna, I'm in difficulty. My business must improve. Krishna, I want this, I want that. When you do that, you'll find your endurance is going to drop. And that is going to be very difficult. So Krishna ended that episode with the Prachetas very happy. Because the Prachetas never fought with each other. 1,000 years, one group of people sitting down in the same place and not fighting with each other is a dream. If Viraj Prabhu allows this program to go on till midnight, I wonder how much we can endure each other. We don't know. The only way he can keep us all together is constant prasadam. There's no other way. Isn't it, Prabhu? Yeah? There's more, right? Yes. So you see, until and unless you put Krishna in the center of your relationship, the relationships will not endure. Until we respect each other and accept each other for who we are, the relationships will not endure. And until we understand and accept, as the Avadut said, different people of different mentalities, we will not endure. And what is the positive side to endurance? Appreciation. Not praise, but appreciation. What is the difference between praise and appreciation? When you appreciate service. When you praise the ego. There's a difference. Supposing Mukund Prabhu sings very nicely, right? And he does. So I go up to him and I say, Prabhu, you are the best singer ever. What I'm not doing for him is a good service. I'm just feeding his ego because I'm praising him. What happens if I go up to him and say, Prabhu, I heard you sing and I was looking at the audience and I felt your singing was really a good service to Krishna because the audience was very captivated to hear and to listen to the names. Now when I give him that feedback, that's appreciation. Because it's not going to grow his ego. It is going to make him understand, this is the reason why this service is being appreciated. It's not a performance. It is actually something in which I can serve others. You see the difference? So therefore, in Bhagavatam, you'll find all the devotees appreciate each other. They don't praise each other. They appreciate. So if we want to endure each other, learn to find moments of appreciation. Instead of finding moments of depreciation, where you reduce someone's value, appreciate someone. The moment you appreciate someone, his value goes so much up in the eyes of Krishna, and your value in the eyes of Krishna will also go up. Because Krishna becomes very happy when you take care of devotees and you see good in devotees. And not just devotees, Prabhus and Matajis. To conclude, a devotee should have appreciation for all living entities. That is very important. We cannot be so exclusive and think only devotees we should appreciate. Why? Because if we don't do that, we won't go back to Godhead. Again, our motive is wrong. You see? Have you seen devotees sometimes one very good Vaikuntha standard for devotees, but a very different standard for those who are not devotees? It happens. I've heard families coming back to me and say, oh, my son is so nice to devotees, but come home and hear how he talks to us. Then you will know his true colors. This is not endurance. Krishna doesn't become pleased with that. So therefore, Krishna consciousness is a lifestyle. It's not a religion. It is actually a way of life. And we should actually make this into a way of living. And I tell you one thing, Prabhus, Matajis, from my experience, if we learn to endure each other on the basis of appreciation, tolerance, seeing good, our children will learn this. And when they learn this is the best gift you can give them. Because they will become very peaceful. As they grow up and navigate the difficult relationships in their life, these principles of Bhagavatam will save them. It will give them higher wisdom to face the challenges of life. Kali Yuga is becoming more difficult, more complex. There is no certainty our children will be Krishna conscious. No certainty. And please don't expect that every child that you bring to this program must become an avadut and fly in the air and be a pure devotee. Don't do that. Because then your relationship with your children will also not endure. I've seen so many relationships where the parents are very serious in Krishna consciousness, the children are fried in Krishna consciousness. Why? Because the parents expect them, the moment they are born, right, to be pure devotees. But the children will tell them, you took up devotional service when you were 45 years old. You broke all the regulative principles. And then you became sadhu. Give us a chance so that we also can grow. What is the problem? And this is where our relationships outside, our relationships in our family, they also break down. They don't endure. So therefore, a Vaishnava is very, very broad-hearted and very broad-minded. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Jai Gaura Premanand. Thank you so much for your association. So attentive, and there's so much of inspiration I can derive from this congregation. Thank you, Prabhu Smatajis. What shall we do now, Prabhu? Shall we do a bit of Kirtan?
Questions?
Questions, please. Are there any questions, any violent objections? Yes, Prabhu.
I had few questions going on in my mind when you were speaking, Prabhu, and thanks for the wonderful class. The first one is about
Criticizing.
people or devotees.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel that it is very human nature to criticize, see yourself, obviously it is your ego as well. So that is point number one. Point number two is about tolerating others. So both these things are linked to the conditioning that you have.
Very true.
Maybe that what you would have carried from your previous births.
Yes. And even your circumstances around you.
Yeah.
Very true.
So on day-to-day basis, how do we train ourselves to uncondition ourselves from that thing on day-to-day? Because
To unlearn.
unlearn. So I'm listening to you right now.
Yes.
And I'm thinking so many positive things, good things about things, how I'm going to do it.
Sure.
But tomorrow morning,
It may all go.
I would have forgotten everything.
Very true. Even I may forget, Prabhu. I'm sitting down and talking. I may forget. Not tomorrow, maybe after Prasadam I'll forget everything. But you're right. You've used two words that are very important. One is Krishna consciousness is really about training. The word that you use, Prabhupada used it so many times. Prabhupada said, and all our acharyas say, that these things will happen gradually. So there is a word in Bhagavatam known as Shanai. Shanai means it takes time. So one thing we should do is, we should develop a desire to change this quality. If we know that this criticism of others is so conditioned in our lifestyle, because frankly, Prabhu, think about it. In my profession, I am paid to find fault. Right? I'm a litigator, so I spend half my life in court, right? And half my time half my time is spent assassinating your character, so that I break you down so much, right, that the credibility of your case just goes with you. So I'm paid for it, and it's become how much it must be a part of my lifestyle. I've been practicing for 30 years now, so how much it is a part of my lifestyle. But one thing I do realize is that the more we are convinced and we see the wisdom that actually criticism doesn't really help people, when we are convinced of that, then the learning and the training begins. So I refuse to bend to the idea that just because I have to do it as a job, that it should become the way I live. I refuse to do that. I'm stubborn about it. And so that gives me the determination to make sure that every time I have this habit that's going to come, I must unlearn it. What really helps you there, Prabhu, is good sadhana, good spiritual practice. If you have time that you put aside every day for chanting Krishna's names, if you spend time reading Bhagavatam, like all the examples I brought from you are all from Bhagavatam, the more you're exposed to that example by way of association, the more your consciousness is ready to change. It's a matter of influence. It's just like you want your children to be in good company or bad company. If you meet people who are good children, like they are heading towards the right direction, you want your child to be with them, right? In the same way, where do you want your mind to be? Do you want your mind to dwell on the fact that we are living in a corporate world, a cut and thrust world where criticism is actually a part of life? Then it can choose that. But if you choose to understand that, well, that is the nature of the world I live in, but I don't have to be part of it. I may have to work through it, but I don't have to be part of it. Then that determination will ensure that you build a program in your life where you have your appointment and your time with Krishna. And you have association of like-minded devotees. If you put all of that together and give yourself time, patience is needed. There'll be a lot of stumblings, but eventually you'll find, Prabhu, that the way we think will actually turn. It will turn. And I like the point that you said that criticism is actually also very much part of being human. Actually, you're right. But what happens is, if we find somebody is not doing correct, and we tell them, Prabhu, this is not the right thing to do, how you say it actually determines how you are criticizing someone. If you say it because your only reason to do that is because actually it doesn't help you, I'm pointing it out to you, and there's nothing personal in it, my experience is people accept it very well. Because they know you're not finding fault with you. They accept it quite well. But if your aim is because you really don't like the person and you're just finding fault, and then you're making it personal, people also sense that you're not coming from a good space. And that's why you're finding fault with me. So sometimes as devotees, we have no choice. Even as parents, you have no choice. You have to tell your children, look, this is not good. You shouldn't do this. But you know that you're not doing it because of any ill motive. Krishna will convey that to others. And if the others feel very bad because someone came and said, Prabhu, you should have done this, done that. We, on the other side, should also not have the ego to think, how dare you tell me this? We also have a part to play. If someone tells us something is for our good, why don't we accept it? I'll tell you one example before I end. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna himself, he was criticized by a devotee son-in-law. His name was Amoga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a sannyasi. And a great devotee, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, asked him to come and take prasadam. It was food fit for a king. A sannyasi takes a vow of poverty, shouldn't eat so much. So Mahaprabhu was there, he ate. Sarvabhauma's son-in-law Amog looked at that and said, what kind of a sannyasi is he? And criticized him. All the devotees got very upset except Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu turned to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and asked him, actually, what fault is there in what Amog has said? He's right. I'm a sannyasi. Why am I eating so much? In that moment, Mahaprabhu taught us that if you want to endure relationships, you must also be able to learn to accept things that people tell about you, which is actually true. But you don't want to accept it because of ego. So you're not entirely wrong. In fact, your statement is right. It is very much part of us to correct others, to help others. We want to do that. But I think we should be doing it in such a way that we know our motives. And this training that you said, Prabhu, it will change the way we think. It will. Just have the faith that it will. You have come to the right path. Krishna is in your life. Why will Krishna forsake you when you have the determination to actually elevate your consciousness? Is that helpful, Prabhu?
Yeah,
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful talk.
Thank you.
Just wanted to share the one thing sometimes that helps me is
Sure.
when I want to appreciate, I don't wait for a moment and I appreciate someone straight away. But if I have criticism sometimes, and you know how there is IQ, there is EQ,
EQ.
and there is SQ,
Yes.
spiritual quotient. And
Yes.
sometimes we are on high SQ. If our sadhana has been, everything is good. Sometimes we are at low battery SQ and
Yeah.
we had a good sadhana. And at that time, it's very difficult to control that criticism attitude.
Yeah.
So, sometimes when Krishna is kind, Krishna inspires me to talk to other devotees before I criticize the person I have criticism towards, and
Yes.
they actually stop me. So it's very good to have well-wishers around
Yes,
and
Prabhu.
always run past through them any criticism even if we have it.
And that is the Vaishnava way. We never make decisions on our own, especially when we know that that decision may negatively impact others. We should always turn to others and speak to them, consult each other. And that's what all the Bhakti Vriksha devotees should do. Open up your hearts, but there must be trust, right? As you said, Prabhu, you turn to a few devotees because you have so much trust in them. You know they're not going to say what you said to them to other people. That's very important. That culture of respecting each other, of helping each other, that will make our relationships endure. A congregation that stays together is a congregation that chants together. A congregation that chants and helps each other in devotional service is a congregation that will endure together. That is how our congregations are built. And it doesn't matter how much difficulty a congregation faces. In difficult times, we take more shelter of Krishna. All the Vrindavan residents were one big congregation, and when the rains fell like anything, because of Indra, they just all ran to Krishna. And as a congregation, that's what we should do. If there's a problem, we all come together and we run to Krishna. And that will help us so much. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice point. Anything else? Sakirai Prabhu.
You spoke about remembering Krishna in difficult times and not remembering Krishna in good times. Generally, we see in Australia that we want to make our life so comfortable, so like plain, that there are neither good times nor bad times.
Is this an Australian problem? It is, huh? Okay. So they are in this samaha state, is it, Prabhu? No bad, no good, just existing.
Materially, I don't know spiritually, but
Okay.
for example, in Gold Coast we have a beach called Surfer's Paradise.
Yes.
And the sannyasis call it Sufferer's Paradise. So you can see that
Yeah.
it's hard to go through that phase. Okay, I'm going through difficult times and I want to remember Krishna.
Yes.
Or actually, I'm going through some good times and even now I want to remember Krishna.
Yes.
So in such situation, how do we progress in?
I think in such situations, it's the leadership that makes the difference. Leaders like yourself, Viraj Prabhu, and other leaders, you all have the wisdom of experience to see this. Like you pointed
I'm
out,
going through the same challenge here.
that is your humility, Prabhu. But even if you are going through the same challenge, you're cognizant of it, Prabhu. You're cognizant of it. And why are you cognizant? Why are you conscious of it? Because of your sadhana. Because of your devotional principles. That's why Prabhupada in one lecture said, it is very difficult when you don't know what you have to know. But if you know what you have to know, then you will be able to solve the problem. And that's exactly what you're saying. When we realize that what we are doing is not correct, that is the start of our journey in spiritual life. But until we accept that what we are in that situation is not a tenable situation, how will we grow? Which Prabhu's point brings us back to that principle. Accept your situation, but not accept to say, I'll just sit back and relax. No. Accept to say that I have a problem and I need to fix it. And when you have that determination, like Dhruva Maharaj had that determination, he wanted to fix the problem. What did he do? He went all the way to the forest, and then Narada was attracted, and then Krishna came because of his determination. So we will have the problems. In every country there is some issues, very unique to countries, unique to congregations also, unique to each person also. But the principle is still the same. Accept the issue, face the issue, take sadhu sangha. Don't ever forsake the process of Krishna consciousness, and Krishna will save us. And like my Guru Maharaj used to say, if at that point also Devaki, Krishna doesn't want to save you, then that is also acceptable. Because what can we do? If Krishna says, no, I'm sorry, your time is up, then you have to take it. That is the mood that Mahaprabhu wanted us to come to. The mood of acceptance. That's all I can share, Prabhu. But it's a very nice point you've raised. Very nice point.
The Chinese philosopher Lao Tse said,
Yes.
if you don't change direction, you will go the same place where you are going.
Exactly. Imagine you've created a problem. Every time you walk down that path, there's the same problem. So why do you want to go into the same space? That is why we need to come out of that space. Material solutions will never solve material problems. Never. Dukkha aushadam tadapi dukkha matadhyayam. Prahlad Maharaj says, very often the solutions which are material are worse than the problem you had in the first place. Haven't you seen this on a daily basis? You go to a doctor and say, doctor, I need medicine for headache. He gives you a strong medicine because you've been having headache all the time. So it's supposed to solve the headache. Then he says, look, I've got a second medicine for you, because when you take the first medicine, you're going to get gastric. So now I'm giving you that medicine for this medicine. And later on, when that medicine has a problem, you'll have some other side effect. That is the material world. So don't find the solutions in matter. Always find the solutions in spirit. Thank you, Prabhu. Shall we chant? Chanting is the best way to remember everything. Let's chant. Are we okay, Viraj Prabhu?
Yes, yes.